Louisville football has just wrapped up their first scrimmage of fall camp. And when I say just wrapped up, I mean earlier today. That comes after 7 straight days of fall camp, all of which were open to the media, the fans, to kind of get a nice early look of what to expect in 2025. Well, after those first 7 days, they closed the doors. The team went into the L&N Stadium for the first time in camp. 8 days in now to Louisville's fall camp, 7 of which I've attended. I was amongst those who spoke to Jeff Brom following the scrimmage on Saturday. So how am I feeling about Louisville football as the August 30th opener gets ever so closer? Let's hike about it. In my last Let's Hike, I was discussing expectations. It was following the ACC kickoff. And I tossed out, I kind of feel like, at that point, I felt like this Louisville squad could be a double-digit win team. 10 wins or more. It's muggy. So after 7 open practices and getting that reaction from Brom following the first scrimmage, I'm kind of still feeling the same. Catch my breath. You ask, what was the reaction from Brom? You can see the full post-scrimmage video interview. It's linked in the description. But he felt he seemingly felt pretty good about the first team on both sides of the ball. We'll go through quickly each position segment, see how I still feel, see if I talk myself out of a win or two or talk myself into a win or two. Let's go through each on how I feel on August 9th about Louisville football and their chances in the 2025 season. Had an opportunity to visit with Louisville quarterback Miller Moss a couple times at the ACC kickoff. You could see that in the description below as well. And since then, again, watched him during fall camp 7 times, and he's clearly, without question, not that there's any doubt, the #1 quarterback for the Cardinals. But that being said, he's come out and he's proven it. He's not just resting on his years of experience at USC. He has taken leadership role. He's made the proper effort with the wide receivers and the running backs and the offensive linemen and the tight end, all of the offensive players, to connect with them. And his performance throughout fall camp has clearly backed up his abilities. He's proven to be effective in throwing all levels on the field. Connects consistently. The relationship between Chris Bell and Colin Lacey, clearly there. And there's multiple wide receivers on this depth chart that look like they have a great timing connection with Moss. Behind him, Brady Allen's number 2. Have to say Deuce Adams is number 3, if not 2B. But I've been impressed with Mason Mims, and he came in known as an accurate quarterback, and he's displayed that. Certainly having first-year moments, but you can't hide accuracy, and he's been putting it on display. So feeling probably slightly better about the quarterback position because of seeing how well the connections have been between Miller Moss and the Louisville receivers than I did coming out of the ACC kickoff. So feeling good about the quarterbacks. If there's an injury to Moss, we'll readdress that, but I think Louisville certainly has capable backups that are competitive, pushing each other, improving. But with a healthy Moss, I like Louisville's chances of doing what many anticipate of Louisville doing, and that's having a pretty high-powered, high-scoring, effective, consistent offense under the direction of Jeff Brom. Chris Barkley told us the other day that he feels like he believes that he's got 3 starting running backs, and Isaac Brown, an freshman All-American last year, rushing for over 1,000 yards, setting a new school freshman rushing record. First true freshman in program history to rush for 1,000 yards. Duke Watson, who added 500 plus yards as a true freshman as well. And Keywan Brown running for over 200 and something yards. All 3 of them very capable running backs. They're bringing in Sean Boykins, a wide receiver who wasn't getting the opportunities at that position to see the field. And a guy that's got great speed, great size. He's now with the running backs as well. That foursome is pretty impressive, especially when 3 of that 4 are the ones that I mentioned. They've been looking the part in practice. If anything, Keywan Brown seems like he continues to elevate his game. So really curious to see how Chris Barkley does keep that group, which he called 3 peas in a pod. They're all 3 neighbors, next door neighbors. How do you keep them happy? In practice is one thing. They seemed to be happy last year. They all came back. What will happen in the sophomore years as Isaac Brown and Duke Watson tried to avoid that sophomore slump, and Keywan Brown tries to push his game to a new level as well? Regardless who ends up leading the team in rushing yards, yards per carry, touchdowns, whatever the case may be, no concern with the Louisville running game. And I will say I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do with Sean Boykins. He's a big body. Chris Barkley says he's just as fast as these other guys with that physical frame. So that's a continuing process, but looking forward to seeing, what kind of role he might have as a running back for the Cardinals this year. Will we also see him potentially move out to the wide receiver spot while lined up as running back? Things that they could do with him, I think are exciting. So looking forward to seeing what kind of role they can kind of wedge in for Sean Boykins this year. But when you talk about the big 3 and Isaac Brown really drawing all the spotlights, getting on multiple preseason lists, preseason all ACC, the running game, I mean, when you talk to the other players on the team about them, they kind of like, yeah. Like JoJo Evans, safety, talking about the running game is like, hey, if we can keep up with these guys, they can keep up with anybody in the country. So if they're doing that or coming close to keeping up with that, that speaks well of the safety position and the cornerback position, which we'll get to in a bit. But running backs, yeah, that's going to be trouble for opposing defenses in 2025. Chris Bell and Colin Lacey give Louisville 2 great receiver options, but you need more than that. Last year we saw the impact of losing Colin Lacey to an injury for a few games. Certainly don't want to lose any of those two. Both are performing very well, very consistently throughout fall camp. So who's that number 3 wide receiver? I think it's still up for grabs. But not because nobody's earning it. There's a lot of competition there. Trayshawn Hurry, Antonio Meeks, Dakari Collins, Chris Hughes, all of them looking legit, and I would expect all of them to get some snaps this fall. Who will edge out and be that number 3 guy? I want to say Antonio Meeks, but I also want to say Trayshawn Hurry. Both, I do think, will play considerably. Meeks has had a number of wow catches in fall camp during the 7 days that were open. Drew applause multiple times on multiple days for catches that he made. He's not alone either. So I'm feeling actually a little better about the wide receiver group than I did coming out of the ACC kickoff just a little over a week ago. Offensive line, feeling really good about the first unit. They've been shuffling guys in and out. Jeff Brom complimented the first team offensive line following the first scrimmage, but then, you know, basically said, hey, we need to continue to progress with the second team, third team to shore up that depth chart. But overall, offensively, they look like who they're expected to be. A high-powered offense that is capable of putting quite a few points on the board, and should be a catalyst for quite a few wins in 2025. Can they get to 10? That's probably most likely going to depend on the defense. Similarly, kind of like how I feel about the wide receivers. Felt pretty good about them coming out of the ACC kickoff. It's kind of how I felt about the defensive line. Felt pretty good about it. Liked Gerard and Conga in the middle. Wanted to see more of what was happening on the outside. The Leo and the edge positions, wanted to see what the depth chart was coming together, and kind of like I was with the wide receivers, feeling a little bit better, even though I wasn't feeling poorly. But my positive outlook on the defensive line has continued to climb as fall camp has gone underway. Jeff Brom quite complimentary of that first group. I think Wesley Bailey, Clev Lubin will prove to be very, very good additions to the transfer portal. Linebackers, I'm a big fan of TJ Quinn. Stanquan Clark coming off his injury, now getting more and more reps with the first team. There's Antonio Watts at the star position, a guy that I think is just ready to take his game to another level. Ron English recently called him, he's an NFL type talent, and I agree with that. And then you've also got TJ Capers and Caleb Perry joining TJ Quinn and Stanquan Clark at that linebacker position. So for that core group, those 5 guys there, I think Louisville's got a really strong group behind that. I think they need to continue to develop the depth. Certainly an area you don't want to see injuries. You don't want to see injuries at any area. But certainly that 5-player group at the linebacker spot, including Watts at the star, that's a group that can help Louisville win, at least 10 games. So yeah, the secondary, it was an issue last year. Not that it was a consistent issue. They had certainly had moments of glory with big plays, but certainly had more than their fair share of head-scratching moments that may or may not have cost Louisville a W. Jeff Prom has repeatedly referred to since the ACC kickoff and continuing following the team's first scrimmage. The secondary needs to continue to improve in ending the big plays, the over-the-top plays. I feel slightly better about the secondary at this moment than I did following the ACC kickoff before the Cardinals began fall camp. Really impressed with Rodney Johnson at corner. Love at safeties what I've seen from D'Angelo Hutchinson and JoJo Evans. So many dry creek beds today. That's what happens when it doesn't rain for a while. Seasonal, they call those. And this season, I'm feeling slightly better overall for this team this season than I did coming out of the ACC kickoff, which I was putting double-digit wins on the radar at that point. And I certainly think they should remain on the radar at this point. Whatever it is, as it happens, week by week, we'll discuss it. We'll hike about it. So we are underway. If you missed, again, the opening hike, a reminder, check the description. It's down there. And then you'll be totally caught up. Thanks for going hiking with Michael McCammon.